Testing, testing. Hopefully everyone out there can hear me. If so, what is going on, everybody? We are back again for whatever episode this is of the Splice Charters Podcast. If any of you watching this happen to be new here, I am Captain Cody Davis. I am the host of this thing I call a podcast and this YouTube channel. And I am a full-time fishing guide down here in South Florida. And I primarily run, I'd say 99% of my business is done on this big pond on the map behind me, which is Lake Okeechobee. And basically what we do here is this is just where I sit and talk to a camera. And we just talk about, when it comes down to it, all things fishing. But primarily, especially right now, talk about everything that's going on out on Lake Okeechobee. But as this podcast continues to grow, we get into the different seasons. We will be talking about other bass fisheries in the state, I'm sure, as well as just all different types of fishing, like snook fishing, tarpon fishing, things like that. So to catch you guys up on kind of today, this is Super Bowl Sunday, right? The Super Bowl is on right now. You guys could tell how much I really care about football anymore. Used to be my jam. I just really don't follow it anymore. I don't have time to follow it, so I don't really care. But I hope whoever you guys have money on wins tonight, if that makes sense. So hopefully your guys' team does well. I just don't follow it anymore, so I don't really care to watch it. So I'm doing a podcast instead. But so tonight's Sunday. My last podcast I shot was last Sunday, and kind of a lot of things transpired since from then. So a lot of you probably heard, and I had a lot of text messages sent to me after that was posted, saying, I hope you feel better. You sounded a little congested. You looked a little run down, and I was. I mean, we sent the baby to daycare starting last week or the week before, whatever it was, and it only took him a couple days to come home and be sick. Which I'm sure all of you parents are very familiar with that whole process. And we did get a cold, but we were absolutely fine, sore throats and all that. And that's kind of what I was going through in that podcast. You guys could hear me, my congestion and everything. And when I hit the off button on that camera that night and went to bed, I felt very run down. I felt very like, man, I need to go to bed. And I did. I went to bed. And at about 3:30 that next morning, I was awakened by the most intense nauseating feeling I've ever had in my entire life, and went directly into the bathroom and started puking my brains out for the next 12 hours or so. I originally thought it was food poisoning, but we later found out I guess it was some kind of stomach virus that was going around. But guys, let me tell you something. I've been sick. I actually get seasick, funny enough. I grew up on the ocean and I still get seasick. I get food poisoning. I've had it. I get, some things don't agree with me. I get nauseous. I get sick. I wouldn't say it's common, but it does happen. I have never experienced anything like this in my entire life. I just haven't. It woke me up out of a dead sleep, and not that we need to get into detail about this, but every 10 minutes I was doing everything I could to throw up. And then I ran out, and then I was just dry heaving. And we've all been there, right? We've either all had something like this. We've all maybe been hungover from a night of drinking. We've all been seasick, right? And what happens? It's almost like a relief when you get sick, when you puke, right? Because it buys you that time and that period of relief, like, and then it may come back, but it buys you a little break window in there. I felt like absolute death from start to finish. I mean, I didn't know I was getting delusional. I was seeing things come about 11:30 in the morning, hearing things. I had the cold sweats. I couldn't get comfortable. I laid in every room and every angle in this house. I went outside. I couldn't look at my phone. And it jacked me up pretty bad. And then come about 2:00 when Breezy came home and was like, something's wrong. And we ended up going to my mother-in-law's office, who's a nurse practitioner, and she kind of checked me out, and she shot me up with stuff that I don't even know what it was. I didn't ask. I was barely even coherent at the time. And she ended up hooking me up to an IV because I was so severely dehydrated. So I ended up getting hooked to the IV. I'd never been hooked to an IV before. I mean, I just never have had to. I just remember turning the light off in that room and I conked out. I hadn't slept since I was woken up from being sick that morning because I couldn't get comfortable. And whatever, I don't even know what it was. She gave me a shot, and just the mixture between that and the IV just settled me enough, and I was out. And woke up. She drove me home. I went right to bed. I felt better. But then what followed after that, the nauseating feeling just started to slowly go away. But then just the achiness and the exhaustion set in. I was so run down from that. And I was supposed to work the following day and ended up having to cancel that trip with some repeat clients of mine that I take every year. I have them for 3 days. And that was the first trip I believe I've ever had to cancel from being sick. I mean, I'm still playing catch up because when it came down to it, it was 3 days of just me not being able to do anything. I couldn't look at a phone. I couldn't look at a TV. I get a headache and throw up. I didn't eat for like 70 hours. I had 2 pieces of toast in 70 hours and chugging water and trying to drink Gatorade. And just, I was sick, as sickest I've ever been, without a doubt. And I'm just now starting to like get back to normal starting today on Sunday. So it's been a week. And you'll probably hear me clear my throat. I'm still coughing up all kinds of nasty stuff from this cold. Breezy's in bed, coughing up a lung. So parenting is fun. We have no idea where the stomach virus came from. And me and her both prayed so hard that Lake would not get this because we would have been in the ER without a doubt. I mean, she ended up getting it. So Breezy ended up getting it. And it jacked her up too. So be careful of whatever stomach virus is going around, guys, because that was the worst experience I've ever had in my life, without a doubt. So, yeah. So that happened. So I'm still playing catch up, and I got kind of a little list of things here. I'm playing catch up. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I kind of can't help it. If you are looking to book a trip with me, shoot me a text message. All right. I was off today. All right. This is just kind of how my life works. I was off. I had a day off because we actually had to go to Val Lazinski's wife. Val from Gambler Lures ended up having to go to his wife's birthday party last night. Had a fantastic time. Awesome time. It was just, they did a great job. Like, it was awesome. So happy birthday, Nicole. Highly doubt you're watching this, but if you are, happy birthday. Had an awesome party, had awesome band, just a lot of the Lake Okeechobee guys were there. Awesome food, just great hanging out with everybody. And we had a sitter. It was our first time ever actually leaving Lake with a babysitter. Very good family friend, which was great. And we went out, had a good time, and I wanted to leave today off, just didn't know how late we would be out. We ended up not being out that late because Breezy was on a Z-Pack. And we just wanted to, we got home at a decent hour, but just wanted a day to just wake up whenever we wanted to wake up, or as ever, wake up how late we could, that Lake would let us sleep in, and then go out, organize my boat, wash my boat. That's what I wanted to do. But instead, my brother and sister-in-law ended up going to the party with us. They have 3 kids. They were here. When we got home, they were all 3 sleeping. We said, you know what, just stay here. Don't wake them up. Well, 2 6-year-olds and a 10-year-old or 11-year-old, whatever he is, they like waking up at 7 o'clock. They start laughing. They're playing. So now we're awake, which was fine. Lake's awake. We're just going to have a lazy day. We ended up cooking breakfast. I went out and did the boat. And then, long story short, we ended up having to deliver farm animals to Lake Placid, which was fine. We had a friend coming to pick them up. We just had some baby goats on the property. So instead of just sitting home and catching up on booking trips, we ended up having to get a kennel, load the farm animals up, drive them to Lake Placid with the baby, got home. So I might have a plan, is what I'm getting at, but my life goes like this. We come home, a cow jumped over the fence and knocked the fence down. Well, we can't just go eat inside and eat dinner. We got to fix that. We got to do this. Something's wrong with the boat. I can't let the boat sit because I have to work the next day. So I got to go and make phone calls. I got to find. I don't know how to fix anything, guys. There's a $20 chatterbait here because it's missing a clip. I don't even know how to put a new clip on a chatterbait. I'm useless when it comes to anything like that. So I'm constantly rolling. So I might tell you, yeah, I'll give you a call back, and it might be 4 or 5 days. So instead of going through that hassle of waiting on me, just shoot me a text message. Had a lot of people. I listened to voicemails today. People angry saying that I don't know how to run a business. I don't know how to do what I don't know. I'm not good at my job. I haven't got back to them in 2 days. I'm sorry. But if you're the best way to reach me is to shoot me a text message. I am currently booking into the middle of April. Beginning of April's booked. Middle of April, I'm starting, and I am booking into May. Have some trips in May already booked in there. So if you're looking to go, shoot me a text. And if you have dates that usually what I tell people to do, pick out some dates like that work for you and send them to me. And I'll tell you if I have any of them open. That's been the easiest, best way to get to me. So, and then obviously once, I'll text you, I have you in the book. And then when I finally get a couple of hours of a day, I'll go through, I pin all those text messages, and I'll give you guys a call. Collect the deposit from you, go over and answer any questions you guys have. So that's been the best way to get to me. Last thing, Mike's open house. Okeechobee Fishing Headquarters had their Customer Appreciation Day. I believe I plugged it on here. The turnout, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to everybody who came out and supported Mike. I had to work that morning and got done and pulled up, and I had to park in the cow pasture. There was no parking. Everyone came out. Everyone spent money. I mean, I don't. It was insane. Everyone that came up shook my hand. All the people I met. I'm glad to meet you. It was awesome. It was a great time. I had a lot of pros there. G-Man was hanging out. Krieger, Hackney. There was just a lot of people showed up. It was a great turnout. And so just thank you. And any of you that don't know, Okeechobee Fishing Headquarters is the tackle shop that I predominantly use up on the north end of the lake. That's where I do my tackle shopping. Mike Kraus is the man. If you're new to the area, if you're just kind of getting into the Lake Okeechobee swing of things, go in there, shake Mike's hand, spend your money with Mike because he will get you out of a bind. He's the man. He knows everything about the lake, and he's just all about helping people out. So you want to be on Mike's good side. And so just thank everybody for coming out. So that's kind of the news letter for the week, I guess. So now we'll kind of just talk about tournament fishing and the lake. So we're going to do a review, and then we're going to talk about what I foresee happening. So I'm sure most of you guys watched the Major League Fishing Invitational Tournament. Crazy. It was awesome to watch. I fortunately/unfortunately watched a lot of it from the water because I was working, and we'll kind of get into why I said it like that. But first of all, congratulations to Josh Weaver. Could not have happened to a nicer person. I've actually met him a few times. Met him through Breezy. Breezy would actually fish with him and his brother when she would go fish up there at Seminole, and they're hammers. And Josh is he's well deserved. That's what it comes down to. He's a great guy, great angler, and it was just so cool to watch him win this deal out here. We'll kind of get into that. So, first day of the event, I think David Walker was leading with almost 29 pounds. And he caught him. Here's what happened. Obviously, when you watch all this unfold in front of you as a local, right now, I'm not saying I don't want anything that comes out of my mouth during this episode to sound like I'm saying any of these pros did something wrong. I'm not saying that I know everything. I'm not saying that I know anything. And a lot of this is just my opinion. This could be totally wrong. This is just how I perceived things and looked at things. So we were talking about how the lake was going to fish small, and which it did. It definitely did, but it fished bigger, in my opinion, than I thought it was going to. There were, and listen, I'm sick of trying to defend this lake, but a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, the lake, the weights were good, but everyone caught fish out of 2 or 3 spots. That's not true. It may have been perceived that way, but these people were more spread out than a lot of people want to give the lake credit for, or that even people have any idea about. I rode around. I saw people. Kelly, my tournament partner, was a camera boat. Not only was he a camera boat, he was with Jody from FLW, I consider, but they went obviously Major League Fishing bought him out. Who's kind of like the head honcho of the media guy, right? He saw everyone. He saw everything with his 2 eyes. All right. And it was really funny. Me and Kelly were joking, like, we'd go to the weigh-in every day and sit on his golf cart and drink a beer, and people would come up, oh, I know where he was and what he was doing. And locals, guys we fish against, talked about how they know where he was and doing this and doing that. And they were so far wrong. And me and Kelly aren't going to correct them because we want to use what Kelly learned to our advantage, right? But just everyone wants to be the guy that knows everything. And that's what Kelly said. He said, that was the biggest thing that this taught me, that these people don't know shit. And it's kind of true. But it fished fairly big. There were definitely giant packs of boats, but instead of there being 2, there was like 7, which I don't care if it was 1990, 2012, or now. That's how Lake Okeechobee fishes in these big events. We're a couple people that made the top 50 that never saw a boat in 3 days. Which we're not going to get into those people. So watching it unfold, David Walker, who got off to a big lead, did not, and I just don't really know much about David Walker. I know he's a veteran in the sport, but watching him catch them, I just knew he was not going to be able to back it up the following 2 days. Historically, typically whoever leads the event and catches that giant bag the first day typically can't back it up. And I just, listen, we've all been fishing where he was, and the way he was fishing and things, and with the weather and the wind and blah, 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 blah. I just said, man, the chances of him doing that for 3 days are very slim. And catching them that big. And the way he was catching them. So he was catching them on a Senko. Whereas a lot of other people in that general vicinity were throwing vibrating jigs, chatterbaits, swim jigs, stuff like that. And you're covering water, which in the area he was, I kind of believe that's kind of what you had to do to have 3 consistent days in there. So I kind of figured he wasn't going to just do it. And nothing against David Walker. I just really didn't think he was going to be able to do it. So I'm trying to think, like, who was in, like, I don't even remember where the cards fell, because I paid attention to that. I paid attention to where people were. Funny enough, we'll go to this, and this is not knocking them because I'm friends with all 3 of them. My buddy Matt, Val did good the first day. Val had 19 pounds the first day. He was sitting pretty, but 15 and a half pounds was 50th place. I mean, these guys caught him on Okeechobee. Everyone caught him. Matt did not do good, and even Jared McMillan, who was a favorite to win, did not do good. The locals didn't do good in this event. And part of me thought that was going to happen, but another part of me thought they would do better. But it didn't happen. So I really didn't pay too much attention to the first day. One guy had like 26 pounds, and I knew he wasn't going to be able to back it up. He basically fished where me and Kelly fished in Rollins, and I just knew how that was unfolding, and I think it was just he got lucky. And there was just people fishing a lot of randomness, and but which was fine. But I really wanted to pay attention to what happened the second day, and which is what I did. So the second day, when I came down to it, Um, at the weigh-in, so Josh Weaver comes in. He weighs in like 31 and a half pounds. And when he came in and he held those fish up, he didn't have a big one. He had all square 5.5 pounders. And funny enough, I was actually standing with Tyler Stewart, who also made the top 50. And Michael Neal was catching them very consistently in the event. Kelly was his camera boat for a while. I know where he was. Michael Neal's one of the most consistent anglers on the planet right now. Anyway, he always does good at Okeechobee. And where he was fishing and how the conditions were going to set up for him the following day, I really thought he had a good chance at winning the event as well. There were other guys in there, Brett Height, but I knew where he was. I mean, he could have done it. But what I was getting to is when Josh held those fish up, I said, he wins the tournament tomorrow. And I said it to Tyler Stewart, and he said, well, I hope so, because that's my roommate. And just the way it happened and kind of where he caught him, he had found a spot, and it was a spot within a spot, obviously. He got in had good boat positioning where these big females, they were coming to the hill. They were coming. And he essentially didn't have to go fish for them. He had to kind of wait for them. And that's what everyone was seeking out in this event. They knew the conditions were going to line up, or a lot of people did, I would think, and they set themselves up for it, and he hit it. And Michael Neal was kind of in the same deal, right? So I picked them two, and funny enough, I said Michael Neal or Josh Weaver win the event tomorrow, and whoever wins it is going to have 30 pounds tomorrow, following day. Well, Josh ended up having 26. And, man, what I really think hurt Mike, it didn't really hurt him, but we were supposed to have some more clouds and even some more wind the final day, and we didn't get it. If we would have got that, I think it would have been a much closer race. But either way, awesome for Josh. It was really funny. I took off that morning, and I went to an area where it's a community hole, but to guide. And when I rolled in there, I really only saw, I think, like Fred Robanis maybe was in there, and Paul Elias was in there, which was cool to see. But I really tried to distance myself from those tournament anglers. I didn't want to get in anyone's way, which was very hard. I still got to make a living too, but I respect the heck out of these guys. And I was watching live. I was watching Josh, and he caught 21 pounds in like 15 minutes. He caught 2 sevens. And he had that momentum going. And part of me was like, there you go. Yes, because I was really obviously rooting for him. And then also part of me was like, man, he's going to get jittery. How do you not? You catch 2 sevens on championship day, and you're in contention to lead. You just caught 31 pounds the day before. And I just remember telling my customers, I hope he doesn't start fishing on adrenaline and start fishing dumb. Well, he ends up leaving. And I turned my phone off, and about 5 minutes later, I see this Phoenix boat. I didn't know, just trimmed out, lay down in front of me, and it was him. And the boat's not even off a pad, motor's off, rips his life jacket off, jumps to the front, throws drum in the water, grabs a rod, and I went, oh, and it was Josh Weaver, and I just remember thinking, man, he's fishing too fast now. He's got the, he's got the momentum going, he's got the adrenaline pumping. And I was like, I hope he doesn't start fishing dumb, start rushing. And maybe he's going to get a bite and he's going to miss it. He's going to lose it, And quite frankly, where he went, and I just did not see it happening. I was like, man, he's not going to catch him there. Maybe he caught him there in practice. Hell, maybe he caught that 31 pounds there the day before. I really don't know. But I had been sitting there for an hour and a half already fishing it. And not that I'm a better fisherman than him or anything, but there was another boat just down from me. There were 2 Shiner guides there that had just pulled out. I just really don't think that caliber of fish he needed was there. But at the same time, he really only needed one big bite at this point. But I just knew he wasn't going to get it. He was throwing that chatterbait and snatching it and doing this, but he was just, which I would be too. I wouldn't have been able to contain myself in his shoes. And then he ended up fishing there for probably an hour, and he left. And then I end up fishing around a little bit, and I go with my customers, and we lay down in another area, and I see him again. And he was just a different fisherman now. Now he's just fishing. I don't think he had caught a fish in quite a while or anything that helped him. I think he was starting to wind him down like, oh crap, like I gotta figure something out. And I remember my customers asking me like, is that? I said, yeah, it's the same guy. And I was on the outside of him fishing, and he catches that 5-pounder. And we can't say anything. I don't want to yell. I don't want to do anything like that. I don't want to. So, and I'll get to it. And he ended up winning the tournament there. But I remember telling my customers, like, do not, if we talk to him, because I was close enough to him at that one spot where, I mean, I could have seen what trailer he was using. We were that close. I was behind him. And I said, don't say anything. He doesn't know he's leading this event. And I think he probably has a pretty good idea, but you don't want him to mentally spin out. And at the same time, this angler to the right of him is fishing for his living as well, and he doesn't know that Josh is now leading the event. So it was one of those things like you can mess somebody up mentally, and it's all over. I mean, look what happened to Jason Christie in that classic, right? So this gentleman, maybe this guy right here has a 6-pounder in his boat, and he's feeling good. And then you say, "Man, Josh, congrats, man! You're way in the lead." He's going to stop fishing his heart out, the competitor, because he's like, I already lost it. Josh already has him. And that's not what you want to do to anyone. So I kept real quiet. And when he caught that fish, like, and again, Josh Weaver does not, I don't think he knows who the hell I am. But I just remember like just seeing him, and he put that fish in the box, and I just gave him 2 thumbs up from far away. And I don't even know if he saw it, but I mean, I knew he had that tournament locked up at that point. But then you start watching later in the day, that guy Stramp or whatever, I can't pronounce his last name. He was doing pretty good too. Well, I mean, Josh pretty much won it by 10 pounds, but so 72 and a half pounds Josh Weaver had. Insane. That's for and that's for 3 days of fishing. I mean, that's not 4 days. That's 3 days. Awesome. Then the weights went 63, 63, 61, 61. And 63 was what I thought was probably going to do it. I really did. But it wouldn't have surprised me, if this didn't surprise me. Just it's set up right. And what happened was that 31-pound bag didn't get distributed to 2 boats. He landed on the mother load and put them all in the boat himself, which is what you got to do to win. But yeah, 63, 63, 61, 61 under that. Can't beat that. And what's crazy is I'm looking at these weights. I think every one of them was in a different spot. I know Josh was. I know right where the 63 pounds was for sure. Yeah, I mean, and then under him, I think was height, and he was in a different spot, and they were. So top 5 were in completely different areas. So that's good to see. That's really good to see. And I know who got 6th. Man, I can't remember your first name, but Dietz. I ended up running into you at Mike's at Fishing Headquarters. That kid's going places. I call him a kid. I don't even know how old he is. He might be older than me, but he's got the right attitude. He's a good fisherman, very good at what he does. And he was in a different area. So they were definitely spread out. It was awesome to see. And kind of all on different baits too. I know the chatterbait was a big player this tournament for sure. And just set up for it. Michael Neal, he was throwing a black and blue swim jig, which that's all he ever throws out here. That's all I ever really throw, right? And then I think the rest of the guys were throwing vibrating jigs just in all different separate areas of the lake and all in different colors as well. So it was good to see. A lot of really big fish brought in, a lot of nice 6-7 pounders. You guys probably saw Brian Latimer. He was in around some really good fish as well. I knew the last day I just didn't think it was going to hold up. A, because of the weather. B, that area was getting pounded. And not only just by bass fishermen, by crappie fishermen as well, and the boat pressure, but you never know. You never know on this lake. So, yeah, that was awesome to see. Again, congrats, Josh. It was cool to watch Brett Height. I watched him the second day running around. They just caught him. These guys are good, man. And what you got to remember is these guys they were off limits for a month. They don't have preconceived notions. They don't know what's going on in the lake. Half of them don't live here. 90% of them didn't live here. Sometimes some of these people, this was their first time on Okeechobee. So they go out there with an open mind and they fish things that us locals overlook. And a lot of people did. I mean, I learned a lot. I learned a lot running around. And that's what it comes down to. We could say the lake's super tough and things and that, but we're saying it's tough compared to what we know, what we're accustomed to. These guys show up, they just know it's the lake, and they're going to fish it with an open mind, and it pays off mostly. Now, Josh has some history here for sure, but I would love to pick his brain, or I'm sure he'll be on a podcast at some point, really describing what took place. Because, I mean, I know what took place, but how exactly he ended up doing that and how it all came together when it comes down to it. So, so following that, now started today, we have the Elite Series guys here who are going to go out there and beat up on our lake as well. Some people complain the lake doesn't get a break. I'm excited for it. I love this. This is my football. This is it. I love watching these guys. I love, especially when it's on my home body of water, right? Does it make it a pain for me to work? Yeah, but that's okay. I live for this. I love watching these guys do what they do. And tomorrow. So tomorrow the high is 67 degrees, and we got a north wind, I believe, at like 10 mile an hour. All right. The next day, it's supposed to get up to 71, and the wind rolls around out of the southeast. Wednesday, I don't know if they practice or if it's an off day, but that really doesn't matter. It's going to be 77 degrees with a south wind. And then Thursday, 78 south wind. Friday, it's like 88 degrees or something crazy south wind. What it comes down to, we're coming up to we got another warming trend, right? It's going to develop during the event like it did for this one. And then Saturday and Sunday, we got, it looks like kind of like a cool front. Looks like a northeast wind on Saturday and an east wind on Sunday. And like the highs are like 70, mid 70s, which is not bad at all. So it's a very minor front. So I really think these guys are going to catch them again. And here's the other thing. This is the Elite Series. This is the top of the food chain, in my opinion, these guys. Not that, obviously there were some really big names in this last tournament. Brett Hite being one I just named, Michael Neal. These Elite Series guys, man, like, you're talking Greg Hackney. You're talking Matt Herron, who's been doing it forever. There's just so many guys, and they're so good. Yes, the lake just got beat up. It did. But we have the fish population. We have it. I mean, I think the weights are going to go up, and not only just because it's a 4-day event. I really think it's going to happen again. It's setting up for it. We got this little front on top of us right now, and it's going to develop during practice or during the event. And what makes that special is it's like these guys aren't beating them up or hooking them in practice. And the fish are going to adjust, and they're going to move, like what happened to Josh. Those fish came to him. I think there's going to be another wave that pushes up, and they're going to just start coming into play during the event. It's setting up great. The water's dropping pretty quick. They have both floodgates wide open on the lake, as far as I know. I drove over one today. The lake's dropping. It's not going to make a difference, but it's just the little things are happening. Warming trend. A lot of people ask me about the moon. You guys have heard me say it. I really don't think these fish give a damn about the moon when it comes to spawning. I think it helps, but it doesn't hurt. I don't think they say, oh, well, we got warming water. We're in 71 degree water. It's stable conditions. It's going to continue to warm. And I'm on a hard bottom, and I'm on an isolated reed clump right now. And I need to spawn, but it's not a full moon. They don't do that. When the conditions line up, they're going to spawn. And they're going to spawn even if they're not on the proper things. So something else like David Walker was catching those fish spawning, he thought. And he even said, like, I think they're spawning. And then there were some people saying, you believe this idiot thinks they're spawning there? And I think they were. Here's the thing, guys. So, whatever. David Walker was right here, right? Okay, so for the most part, a big area, a majority of the south end of the lake, the bottom is crap. It's that mushy, dead, mulchy, mossy, icky bottom. Not ideal for them to spawn in at all, right? They need that nice, hard bottom to lay those eggs, make a foundation, and have something to guard. When it's in that mush, if they lay those eggs, it just the sun doesn't get to it, because if this is the crap and they lay it, it just falls through the crevices and gets buried, and the fry never makes it out, or the eggs never hatch out, the fry never makes it, and they die. But that bass doesn't know that. When that bass is ready to spawn and the conditions line up, she's going to do her thing no matter where she is. She's going to do it when she has to do it. So that's a thing I tell people. It's like the spawn itself may not be successful. Like the eggs may never hatch. We may never get any fry out of that lay from that female. But if she's ready to pop and the conditions are right, and even if she's in the worst spot in the world, she's going to pick somewhere to do her thing. And we always like the West Wall, right? The West Wall there's been a fish caught in West Wall, I don't think now in 6 months, but that was a very popular spawning area. East Wall as well, right? And let's just say when the conditions line up, when the water is clean in there and things, right? It's good. It's good hard bottom. There's a lot of good protected areas for them to spawn. But the fish on the down there, like where David Walker was and Brett Height was and things, they don't know West Wall exists. They can't swim in there and go, oh, this turned to crap. Let's go to West Wall. They don't know that, right? These fish are not that smart. I really think they just meander around, and then when they find the right deal, they'll hang out. But if they never find it, they're just going to drop their eggs, pair up, drop their eggs, and the male fertilize them and things, but I just truly don't think they make it, which is not good for the lake. Obviously, it's not good for just the numbers and the population, because that's going to happen more and more as we keep losing spawning ground. But there are majorities of fish that are making it. So I think fish are spawning in there as well. I think this has been going on for years. As we continue to lose very valuable spawning areas, which is a problem with the spraying and all that, eventually it is going to catch up and hurt our population. Now, over on the grand scheme of things, the problem, the benefit is, I think we have trillions of fish in the lake. I do. I mean, not trillions, but we have so many fish in this lake that I think it's going to take a long time for us to notice it. But either way, we don't want to notice it. We need to get this fixed as far as the high water and the spraying and all that, and get our marsh back and our clean water in these estuaries in within the lake for these fish to have not only to spawn, but successfully spawn. So that's why I always say, like, that's always the thing. Like, yeah, I think they're spawning in there. They're not spawning in there because they want to. They're spawning in there because that's where they're stuck at and they need to do their thing. So there definitely were fish spawning in there. I've been fishing in there. That ABA video I just posted, I didn't talk. It's just me fishing. And the guy who won the ABA, that's where David Walker was that first day. And, we've been catching pre and post spawn fish in that area. So something to keep in mind, when you may find fish spawning in an untraditional spot, and that's just because they have to. So, so I think that's going to set up again. I think another wave of fish is going to move into some areas. Some people are fishing in ideal areas, right? That's where the mother lode's really going to be. It's really where it's going to concentrate them. And that's an area where you could really sit and wait, because they're coming in there and then they're like, oh, this is it. And then they're going to set up and do their thing, and it'll keep reloading, Ronnie Moore from Bassmaster asked me kind of that area that everyone's been fishing down south, what makes it special? I said, to be honest with you, it shouldn't be special at all. It's the ugliest place on Lake Okeechobee. But the way it's set up is it's protected from heavy winds, which means the water stays relatively clean right now. The bottom sucks. The setup sucks. Is there bait in there? Yeah, at times. But there's 5,000 boats in there, right? But the fish on the south end over the past 3 years have had no clean water. There's no clean water. Our south end is obliterated. So I really think these fish are just swimming and they hit this pocket of clean water. And even though it's not set up right, they're gonna put the brakes on and hold in there just because it's clean water, which is sad. But I think that's what's making that. They're not stopping there because of the ingredients. They're stopping there just because the water's clean and it's livable. And the people are catching them reloading in there, but I think somebody in this group, and it might even be multiple boats, are going to find a few areas where these fish are coming to. Some of these guys are more vetted, right, in the game. Some of these guys in this group have been in the game longer. I shouldn't say that. It's kind of split between the two anymore, but these guys are going to settle down and fish slow. Going back to everyone who did good in this event settled down and really picked areas apart and fished methodically and fished very slow and let the fish come to them when you find the right area that they're coming to. And I think there's going to be guys in this group that do that very well and are patient. And as you saw, it can happen very quick out here, very quick. And that's what I've been trying to talk to my customers about. Like, listen, I know it's been an hour and a half without a bite, but you can go from 0 to hero really quick right now, especially if you're in the right areas, which I try to obviously have my customers in. And there's going to be fish now, obviously, that are post-spawn as well. This tournament may be won on post-spawn fish. Someone might find schoolers, big schoolers. We already obviously know there was just a big wave of fish in here on the last moon that are on their way out now. And now might be looking to feed up. Some things that I think may come into play in this event. I don't know. I mean, I wrote some down, but the swim jig was a big one in the last one, and I think it's going to be in this one as well. It's always going to be a player because it's the most versatile bait on Lake Okeechobee, and it catches numbers and it catches big ones. There's a lot of guys in this event that are very good with a swim jig and very comfortable with it. Conditions are lining up. I think that's going to be a player. The frog, people caught him in it on the last one. And I think some of these guys are going to dial that in as well. The thing is with it, it's not a numbers bait. You're fishing for big ones, and you may go a long time without a bite. If someone's confident enough or has a good enough here's the deal, though. That's going to develop during the event because with this cool weather right now, it's happening for the next day or two. I don't foresee that frog bite coming to fruition until the event. So it's going to take someone to pick it up in the event and give it a shot, maybe get lucky and get a giant bite on it right away, which gives them confidence. But that popping frog is going to get some big bites, I believe, in the event. Flipping. Guys, as much as I love to flip, I cannot figure out a flipping bite. Besides flipping a Senko on fluorocarbon to isolated stuff, that's not what I'm talking about. I don't see anyone finding any mat fish. Flipping mats, I really don't see doing well in this event. I could be wrong, but I don't think that's going to be a deal. But going back to post-spawn fish and maybe some fish staging coming in, someone may find some stuff or some fishable water out more towards the main lake, flipping the Kissimmee grass and the buggy whips and things with a beaver-style bait, blind flipping. And might find some staging fish out there. And if they are able to find, because the wind's going to swirl, if they're able to find a couple groups like that, I think I see that doing well also. I have a few guys in my head that I could foresee doing that. And if they find it, they could definitely blow this tournament away because those groups of those big wolf packs are out there. And when I say out there, they might not even be towards the main lake. They might be midway. Hell, they might be in the back. But just find the right setup, like maybe certain reed heads that are reloading. It's going to happen. Someone's catching them doing that on this lake. We haven't. I haven't. Personally, I haven't heard of anyone doing it, but if anyone can do it, it can be these guys. And then a chatterbait. A vibrating jig's going to get bit. It's such a versatile tool for covering water. It was a huge player in this last event. And these guys know that. A lot of these guys are lying to you if they tell you they didn't watch all that live footage, and they're able to. They are off limits, but it's public knowledge. They can watch it. And I hope too many of these guys don't get sucked into that and go try to recreate what someone else already did. I stand by it. You cannot catch somebody else's fish. And these guys have to remember, you're on the Elite Series. You're the top 100 anglers in the world. You're there for a reason. Go figure it out on your own because you're going to fish better, and it's going to work out to your benefit if you do. So I play fantasy fishing. We're doing it this year. I'm in a pool with a bunch of the Lake Okeechobee hammers. So I was going to share with you guys kind of my picks, any of you guys that might do it. Group A, Drew Cook. So I picked him. Here's the deal. I was going to go with Drew Benton, too. I asked Breezy, I said, who should I pick, Drew Benton or Drew Cook? Because Drew Benton's one out here. He's a Florida guy, and he's good. And I'm a big fan of Drew Benton, and he could very well do good in this event. Thing is, as this sets up, I really don't see a opportunity to sight fish in this event. But if one arises, Drew Cook's the best in the world at it. But on top of that, Breezy also told me, she's like, I fished against him in college through my college career, and he kicked our ass. Like everyone. She laughed. She said everyone looks at him as a sight fisherman. She's like he's just a phenomenal fisherman in general. I said, yeah, you're right. And I mean, he's a hammer. So I'm picking Drew Cook. I don't know how this sets up to his style. I mean, like I said, I'm guilty. I just know him as a sight fisherman, but obviously I know he can do more than that. So Group B, Hackney. I don't care what lake we were on. I'm going to pick him. He's my guy. But here's the deal. The water temp's already up. We're going to have this little front. It's gonna come up a little bit more during the event. Hackney always catches them out here on this lake. He does good in Florida in general. He understands these Florida fish. He enjoys fishing this way. He enjoys fishing for these fish in particular. He just knows Okeechobee. Now he could bomb. I don't know, but I pick him to win the event, like in general. And if anyone's going to pick out that flip and bite, it's going to be him. And I could see it where if he does well in the event, I could see it where he's not catching them all flipping, but a key bite or two of his a day will come flipping. I think he's going to catch him swimming his jig a lot. He might pitch around his little fluorocarbon rod with the Senko and whatnot, but I see him swimming that jig and plunking that rodent that he likes to flip or even his jig around and doing very well. And maybe not running that flipping pattern the entire time, but getting a key bite or two, which will help him out in that. Caleb Summerall, I don't know much about the guy, but I like his style. I like the way he sets up and fishes. He's from Louisiana, running that aluminum boat. There's a particular area or two that is playing a big factor in this lake right now that sets up to his style. And whether or not he finds it, I don't know. But if he finds it, I see him doing very good in this event, and I'll leave it at that. Matt Herron, veteran on tour. Everyone calls him the grumpy old man. I love it. He's just a badass, don't talk to me, put his head down, flipping kind of guy. Done well out here on FLW. He's a hammer. One of those guys that'll put his head down and flip for 5 or 6 bites a day. I see him. He might be the guy that picks out that flip and bite. He might be the guy that finds those 8 or 9 magical reed heads and just rotates them throughout every day throughout the event and comes out doing very well or even wins the event. And then my last pick is Wes Logan. He's he's younger than me. He's a young kid. Kid's hungry. He's nice. He's done his research. I talked to him at Mike's shop. He likes to flip. but he's well-rounded. He won at Guntersville. And then I think he almost won the next stop after he won at Gunner. He's good. He's got his head on straight. He's got the right mental attitude going into this event as well. Just the brief I got to talk to him at Mike's, and he's good. He's got it dialed in. I think it sets up to his style. I don't even know if he's ever been here, but just watching him, I was a big, I still am a big fan of his, but just watching over the years of him on the Elite Series and watching that Guntersville win, he's got it. Also, before off limits, he's an art guy. He's friends with Randall Tharp, who's one of the best fishermen to fish out here. So, yeah. Some people were surprised, there were some other guys, like I'm a big fan of Lee Livesey, who's also, I think he travels with Caleb Summerall. Big fan of Lee. I think it sets up for him. Man, a lot of people pick John Cox. As good as he is and as gifted as that guy is, he obviously he could do it. He can do good. It sets up for him where Brian Latimer fished, sets up very good for John Cox, and I bet you if he does good, it's around where Brian Latimer was, fishing that way, fishing very similarly. But John Cox, he's the man. He's the man. He could do very good in this event. A lot of people also were surprised I didn't pick Scott Martin. So, man, it's funny. So Scott, everyone's like, oh, well, Scott's the local. You saw what happened in the last event to the three. Not only were those three locals in Jared McMillan, Val, and Matt, those are three of like the best fishermen on the lake. Like they're not just fishermen on the lake, but they're three of the best, right? And they didn't do good. Now, what it also comes down to is they're also three flippers. Now, Matt was flipping a little bit. Val, I saw him the second day, and he was casting. But they would have liked to have been flipping, and they probably flipped in practice. And it's going back to that thing where that flip and bite is just not really happening. I know Jared was flipping the second day. But either way, those are three hammers. Arguably the best fisherman on Okeechobee that didn't do good. So I don't know if local knowledge is really helping you, but I just read an article that Bass posted, and they interviewed Scott, and he put it very well. It's like the local knowledge is not going to help you at all right now with the way the lake's set up, but the local knowledge of how the fish behave and how they move will help, and I agree with that. Another funny thing is, like, I'm out here every day. I fish the lake every single day, and even when they weren't on off limits, Scott's a busy guy. He's not out here every day. I think a lot of people think he fishes Okeechobee every other day. He doesn't. And because he's a busy guy. He's constantly doing stuff. So but with that being said, him not being out here every day, I could see helping him. You know what I mean? Like him not fishing out here regularly. I think that could help him in this event. But we'll see. But I even Kobe Krieger. I told Kobe Krieger, who's, roommates with Hackney, I told him Saturday, I said, you ready? Ready as I'm going to be. I said, well, you saw how well it worked for the locals. He said, yeah, I know. It's kind of a eerie thing, and Kobe could do good too. There's a great fisherman in this deal, man. Someone's going to jack him. I really sat and thought about what I thought the weights were going to be. And I looked, I said, all right, it's 72.5 for 3 days. And I could be kicking myself in the foot. It might take 50 pounds for 4 days. I don't know. But man, I'm going big. I'm going to say these guys are going to catch him. And I would say you're going to 90 pounds. I really think these guys, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a couple really big bags, even if it's, over 30, like mid 30s, someone should have, especially on that Friday when it gets up to 90 degrees. These fish are going to bite. But so Drew Cook, Greg Hackney, Caleb Summerall, Matt Herron, and Wes Logan. If you guys aren't into the fantasy fishing thing, this is my first time doing it, but it's fun. It's got you constantly thinking. on and it's going to keep me more in tune on what following the season. And then you learn more. You know what I mean? Like even Kelly, I went to the weigh-in with him every day, and he's like, man, like I'll tell you what, when you got nothing to do, is just sit and watch them. You do learn a lot. I mean, these guys are where they're at. He was telling me about even Michael Neal and stuff like Alex Davis. He was around him. He's like, these guys are who they are for a reason. They're not just going fishing. I mean, they do there's these little things and they do the little things right. And that's what you got to do in this game. And he learned a lot. And I learned a lot listening to what Kelly saw and even what I personally saw on the water. So I guess is about it. Again, I think I'm gonna say 90 pounds for 4 days. It's gonna win it. Whoever wins it is going to fish with confidence, going to fish clean, not rushed. Scared the hell out of me when I saw Josh running around like a chicken with his head cut off, casting that chatterbait around, snatching it, doing this, doing that, putting his rod down. He was fishing frazzled because he was excited. But I thought that was going to lose the tournament for him. Thankfully, it didn't. Hopefully, whoever does good in this event is going to get in a rhythm in the elites. And, yeah, they're going to fish comfortable and confidently. So that's it. I guess we'll check in after they leave. That'll probably be my next podcast. Once the elites leave, we'll go over that. I want to have Matt come in and just have him basically go over everything he did wrong, which he says is everything. Even Val, I talked to Val last night, and I would have rather gotten last place than what Val got. Val got the last place they took the top 50, and the top 50 got paid third day. Val got 51st. That sucks. And, he really didn't have to do anything different. If he would have made, here's what I'm saying. If Val would have made the final day, I'm not saying he wouldn't have won, but he would have had a big bag the third day. And I knew that I ended up leaving to go in, and I saw Val the second day, and I saw him calling. He had like 8 pounds, and I was like, can't tell him nothing, but he needs to leave where he's at. And he never did. And, he said the same thing. He's like, yeah, should have left and been up there, blah, blah, but it is what it is. I got to fish against him in the Toyota. He'll probably win it, so he'll get redemption. But, like I said, that's it. I appreciate you guys watching. I got to make some phone calls here. Got to work tomorrow. Follow me on social media. Instagram is Tight Splice Charters, or you follow my personal account, Cody of DFP. CODYOF-DFP. Cody of Deerfield Pier. That's what that stands for. And on Facebook as well. Give the channel a like. Give it a comment. Subscribe. The amount of pros that told me they watch my stuff and enjoy it just means the world to me. It's awesome. And, yeah, hopefully before too long, I can get out there and go flipping fishing. Just go film something fishing. I don't have time. And it's irking me. I'm ready to go. I want to go fish something. I want to go just fun fishing and film. So hopefully that's not too far away, but I'm going to go to bed. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Hope you guys enjoyed the Super Bowl. Hopefully your team won, like I said. And definitely keep your eye on Bassmaster Elite Series. These guys are going to catch them. And tight lines. And I'll see you guys on the next one.